In the world of the future, the poor only needed to toil like donkeys for 8 hours a day to earn themselves a single loaf of bread, content with the meager reward. Though no one understood why the company demanded this of them, the poor willingly remained in their tiny prison cells because as long as they met their monthly quotas, their families would enjoy the generous resources provided by the corporation. The voice assistant informed him that while the daily task was set at 50 laps around the mill, whoever pulled the least by the end of the day would be executed that very night. To avoid being the last, Nick pushed himself to complete 150 laps on his very first day. Satisfied, he prepared to sleep only for the cell door to be abruptly knocked open by the guards. To his shock, despite his desperate effort, he was still being punished. Under the guards' threats, Nick stripped off his clothes and stepped out obediently. Machines sprayed him violently with water, then tossed him a bar of soap. It turned out this wasn't punishment. The company was rewarding him for hitting 150 laps with a rare chance to shower. Nick was pleasantly surprised, though he found himself baffled as he was forced into an unexpectedly thorough wash. The next day, a thought struck him. What if scoring even higher brought better rewards? What if first place meant freedom? Driven by this hope and longing for his wife and child, he pushed his score to a staggering 370 laps. Since Nick had set a new historical record, the company delivered another reward, a pen engraved with his name. Nick was furious. What the hell was he supposed to do with a pen in this damned place? In a rage, he screamed at the system, unleashing days of pent-up frustration, unaware that outbursts only worsened his plight. The system retaliated by raising his minimum daily quota to 370 laps. Worse, the rules changed. Now, 2 laps equaled 1 point. To barely meet the requirement, he'd have to push the mill 740 times a day, an impossible task. As Nick howled in despair, his new quota was overheard by others. When they learned he'd inflated the original 50-lap standard to 370, the crowd erupted in furious roars. But their anger wasn't directed at the system's inhumanity, it was at Nick for breaking the unspoken rules. By proving humans could endure far beyond 50 laps, he'd forced everyone's quotas up. To survive, the others had no choice but to grind just as hard as Nick. Perhaps this was the film's intended message. In a cutthroat world of competition, there will always be those who push themselves to extremes for a little extra gain, dragging entire industries into a vicious cycle of escalating demands. Those who once sought a steady, comfortable existence now find themselves trapped, too terrified to slack even for a moment under the crushing weight of this relentless system.